I'm Alex Haugland.
And I'm Amy Haugland.
And this is her 2014 Lotus Evora S.
I'll show you what's next. Yeah, I'm on my way. Yeah, keeping it fresh. Look like it's on display.
Lotus has been building cars in the United Kingdom since 1948. The company was founded by Anthony Colin Bruce Chapman, whose initials are still in the Lotus logo today. Lotus began as a company focused on engineering race cars with an emphasis on lightweight and handling as a path to victory.
The Lotus Evora was launched in 2008 with a naturally aspirated engine, to be replaced by the Evora S in 2010, which fitted a supercharger. The goal of the Evora was to focus less on a track-ready car and to build a practical road car. The final layout was a mid-engined 2+2 coupe with a larger, comfortable interior, with plenty of space for larger drivers, as the CEO of Lotus at the time was over 6 feet tall.
It's quirky, it's cool, it's reliable.
If you compare that to a Ferrari 430, and you can, it's the bargain of the century.
And it will happily comply with your every last wish. It's truly amazing.
This is a 2014 model, which is the last year of the Evora S, after which it was replaced by the Evora 400 with a more powerful engine, and which met current airbag requirements that the Evora S no longer met. This is one of the few cars in the collection we bought new. A friend of a friend was running a Lotus dealership in Arizona, and this car was being used as a dealer demonstrator. When the 2014 model year was being phased out, this car was still unsold and had a little bit of mileage on it. And I wanted my own pretty sports car after Alex bought a Jaguar F-Type coupe as his daily driver. So this became my first sports car.
It's better than ever. Wow, it's a new look, and it's looking real good. It's a new look, and it's looking real good. It's a new look. Yeah, looking real good.
So, as pretty typical for Lotus, the construction is pretty much all fiberglass body, in this case over an aluminum subframe, along with steel supports for the front and rear suspension.
This car came with the black package, which was an extra option at the time. That means it has a black roof, it has black on the sides instead of body color, which is what would normally be on this. I really like that accent. It definitely makes the car look lighter, slimmer.
Black is slimming in this case. Other features that you'll see is that all of the lights on here, for the most part, are all LED. All the side marker lights, the tail lights, everything along that line. Headlights are HID discharge. There is also a lot of vents just randomly scattered over the car. The ones here in the front allow air from the radiator basically to escape. This doesn't really open. It's more or less just a fixed shell. You'll see in the back that we also have vents here, and there are some here right in the back, right above the engine cover, that allow air into the engine, into the rear brakes, things along that line. You'll also notice that all of them have this wonderful mesh over the top, which does a good job of keeping out small animals and things like that, but does a fantastic job of trapping every pine needle where you can't get it cleaned out of the car.
Yeah. You know those invisible elves? It protects you from the invisible elves.
You spotted imaginary elves. You rock on the porch all night.
If you look through the wheel, you'll see that it has a nice large disc, large brake caliper. The rotors themselves are vented and cross-drilled. That's actually stock on this car. So it's basically a very good high-performance brake system, really suiting the sporting nature of these cars. The tire itself also fits in that, as does the wheel. So the wheel is a very nice large diameter, but is very light. It's got a very low profile, very, very sticky Pirelli tire stock on it, which is still what we have on this car.
Most cars have 2 windshield wipers. Some cars have 3 windshield wipers. This car has 1 windshield wiper. I love the.
You might think that 1 wiper seems rather unusual here, but with the angle of the windscreen, it actually covers pretty much the whole thing. A second wiper would add weight and detract from performance.
So normally we wouldn't have a license plate mounted on the front of a car this pretty. It ruins the aesthetic. However, we live in Oregon, which means that because the car is modern, it's not old enough for us to register under special interest. We have to mount a front license plate.
Which sadly adds weight and detracts from performance.
So we have it on this doohickey that screws into the tow hook mount. So luckily we didn't have to drill any holes or anything. I have a habit of anthropomorphizing everything. And one of the things that I love about cars is a lot of them seem to have a face. The Lotus Evora has a particularly happy face. If you think of it with the headlights as the eyes, it has a smile. And again, the license plate makes it look like it has something caught in its teeth.
So at the back, you can see all of the additional vents that exist here feeding in the engine compartment, and they have the grills that catch every pine needle and everything that you get near it that's small enough to fit through and makes it impossible to clean them out. Other things that you'll see is it has a really nice central exhaust. The exhaust note on this car is great. One of the things I really like about it, a big rear air splitter coming in with the black as well, really balancing out the black package on the roof and everywhere else. And then of course the rear spoiler. Through the glass, you get to see the engine cover. So at least in this area, they start suggesting the idea that you may want to see the engine. Of course, they put a big plastic cover over the top of it that says Lotus. Otherwise, it would have to say something like Toyota, because that's what it really is.
All right, let's open up the back. So here's the trunk. It's not huge. I have taken this to Costco. However, I couldn't put very much in the back, and I wound up putting like the big jug of kitty litter in the front passenger footwell.
So my problem with the back of this is that when you take a case of wine and put it in, you can't really put it on the sides. So it's really at most only a one case car, except it's not even that. So it doesn't even fit a single case of wine. Kind of a useless trunk. So now that we've gone over the trunk, let's get into the engine compartment. So the engine has this nice plastic cover over the top that kind of hides everything. We take it off. Here you go.
Thank you. Okay, see you in the interior. Bye.
I feel so alive.
There's not a huge amount to see here other than right on the very, very top of this V6 is a really nice big supercharger, which is a big part of what makes this what it is. The engine otherwise is a 3.5 liter Toyota V6, same one as they used in cars like the Toyota Highlander, Camry, things along that line. Parts availability is great, reliability is fantastic. With a supercharger, however, this engine makes 345 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. Top speed is electronically limited at 172 miles an hour. Overall, a really nice performing car. Transmissions on these cars, you had two choices, either manual or an automatic. This one's actually an automatic. It's a push button on the controls, fairly easy to use. Not necessarily the highest performance option, but it's actually a pretty good automatic. And for Amy driving it and driving it as a daily driver, it really worked pretty well. So the suspension is all alloy wishbones with Bilstein shocks and iBox springs. That's pretty much what's standard on these cars. It is a really nice, comfortable suspension system. Other than that, you really can't see much. There's an airbox, there's the supercharger, everything else is buried way down there. So typical of most Lotuses that are mid-engined, kind of a pain to work on. One other thing that you can't really see in this trunk is tucked way back here. And what it is a can of Fix-A-Flat, because you don't get a spare tire in a car like this. Again, adds weight, detracts from performance. One other thing to note that also limits the amount of wine you can carry in here is this nice label here, which says maximum allowable mass in luggage compartment 50 kilograms. So exactly why, I'm not sure, but we've never had much reason to exceed it, and I think it'd be a little bit tricky in this trunk.
Adds weight, detracts from performance.
Very well.
Welcome to the interior. So this is yet another black and red interior, but I like black and red interiors. I love the contrast piping. I love the contrast stitching. Again, I didn't get to order this myself. It was a dealer model demonstrator thing, so I'm just really happy with what we got. The thing about Lotus is you know it's a Lotus. There's Lotus here and Lotus there and Lotus there and Lotus everywhere. No complaints. One of the things that was difficult to get used to in this car was everything is push buttons. The only lever is the handbrake. That's it. And then you turn the key to turn it on. Other than that, push buttons. So no shift lever, nothing like that. That's sport mode. We don't touch that button. It's already very sporty. We have, all our little push buttons here, including one that the front fell off. I have no idea what that button does. It's apparently not important. And over here, it's kind of fun because we've got these two buttons, but they're blank. So they're pretty much just there for aesthetic to even out both sides of the console here. I like that. Symmetry is important to me. The display is kind of very swoopy and space-agey. You've got your gauges here, and you've got these little red screens on the sides that show you, status stuff about your car. For instance, this one is now telling us that the door is open, as if we didn't notice. This gauge is miles per hour. However, the digital gauge is kilometers per hour. And when I first got this car, it confused the bejeebers out of me because I was like, we need to fix that. We need to fix that. And Alex is like, no, we don't need to fix that. Just use the actual gauge and you're fine. Lotus used a lot of parts from other places. For instance, this is your very standard Alpine radio. You can replace that with anything. It has a CD player though. How cool is that? The steering wheel is very adjustable, flat on the bottom, which gives you more legroom. Not a problem for me, but Alex is about 6 feet tall. Much more comfortable for them. Speaking of comfort, these are some of the most comfortable seats I have ever sat in my life. Absolutely love the driving position in this car. Does not tire me out. Incredibly comfortable. The entire interior is leather. There's leather seats, there's leather on the inside of the door, there's leather on the dashboard. The one issue with leather on the dashboard is that this car has been parked out in the sun occasionally, and sun shrinks leather, which is why this isn't sitting completely flush, because the leather has pulled. It's really pretty until it isn't. It has a back seat. Technically. You can put humans back there, but only if they don't have legs. So it's what we refer to as a padded luggage compartment, and it is useful for that. The only problem, again, is that this is a two-door car. You would have to flip the seats forward in order to get things in and out. It's awkward. So it's strictly for insurance purposes. So folding adjustable mirrors in this car were a over $200 dealer option. This car did not come with that. It turns out that Lotus installed all the motors and everything, they just didn't put the switch in. So for less than $30 on eBay, we got a switch from a European market Ford. Alex installed it, and now we have folding adjustable mirrors.
That's definitely the one.
The glove box is a little bit special. It does not have a pull handle on it at all. It's another button. Sorry, that should be more dramatic.
No,
I actually think we should keep
exactly
that
the way it is.
Sorry, that's
We're out in the Lotus here and just going out, doing a nice little drive. And this is a car I don't worry too much about if it suddenly starts raining and get caught in it. I mean, it's rear-wheel drive, it's mid-engine and all that, but it's got pretty modern tires. It's not going to rust on me. It's mostly fiberglass and everything. So it's a good car for a little bit more all-weather driving. And we've driven this car in all kinds of weather. Not snow per se, but kind of everything else. Generally though, it drives really well, and like a Lotus, it's fairly good at handling, it's got great suspension, there's a bit of road noise. Unlike a Lotus, there's actually room in here. Steering's responsive, it's powered steering, so it's fairly light. Brakes are great, it's got good tires on it, which helps a lot too. I mean, that's where a lot of your actual traction's coming from. The car has great acceleration if I want to get on it. It's supercharged, so just absolutely takes off if I'm going up a hill or something.
But it's not super touchy, which I like.
Yeah, but if you want to, you can really get on it and get going. Like right here is a really nice straight stretch with a hill. So very little effort. You go from, oh, I'm going at 20 miles an hour to I'm going a little bit over the speed limit.
Another nice thing about this car is it doesn't matter if you're going fast or slow. It doesn't feel like it's lugging. It doesn't feel like it's unhappy.
Yeah, it's kind of comfortable at all speeds.
Some cars really don't like going slow.
Have you loved somebody else?
Yeah, we're actually driving through Eugene itself right now, but kind of in the South Eugene neighborhood. There's a lot of nice, beautiful little roads, few hills, things. Not a lot of traffic, but just beautiful little winding roads through the hills.
I will say the one thing these narrower roads reminds me is that the back is wider than the front.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but it is wider, and so I had to take that more into account when doing things like taking corners and...
Yeah, you kind of have to get used to the fact there's not great rear visibility.
No.
It's mid-engined, you've got a tiny little rear window. The main thing I can see through the rear window is a beautiful engine cover that says Lotus on it. Not really much else. I can tell there's a vehicle behind me, but that's about it. So really your side mirrors are the mirrors that matter in this car. One thing that I would not have picked personally, but you wanted it and liked it, is the fact that it's an automatic, actually not a manual. But at the same time, you were daily driving this. If you're stuck in traffic, driving it through Portland or something along that line where there's actually more traffic on the roads, it gets annoying sitting there holding a clutch and shifting gears and crawling along on the freeway.
It definitely made it a much easier car for me to drive at a time when I could drive a stick, but it wasn't easy for me at the time. And now I'm much more proficient, but I have a different car that is sporty and has a stick shift.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have options.
I mean, in a lot of ways, this is a car you could kind of use every day.
Oh yeah.
You could theoretically put children in the back seat. They better not have much in the way of legs.
Yeah.
But theoretically, you can put them back there.
Yes.
We have had a person in the back seat in this car.
Is that Miriam?
Yes.
Miriam is 5 feet tall. So that's pretty much the upper limit. And
it was a very brief trip.
Yes.
And she was behind you with your seat, you being 5'2".
Yes.
All the way forward.
All the way forward.
So, but there's not a lot of headroom back there either.
No.
All the headroom's up here in the front.
Yes. I really get the feeling they did not expect you to put anyone in the back seat.
Yeah.
The back seat is really more suited for things like groceries.
When hope has faded away and it's hard to find a way, will you take my hand across the devil's bonnet?
So this car, I daily drove it for quite some time after we got it. I find it very easy, very comfortable. Again, seatbelt cuts into my neck, but that is normal because I'm short. One of the fun things about this car is this is the first car that I've ever owned that is outwardly cool, like really cool. It's a red sports car. It's a very different experience from what I'm used to in cars. The one disadvantage that this car has is gas mileage is awful in this car.
It's less than 20 miles to the gallon. It's a Toyota V6. I mean, same engine more or less that they're putting in things like the Toyota Highlander and things like that of the same era. But the Highlander doesn't get the supercharger.
No. I will say one thing about this car is Some automatic transmissions are very smooth and you can't feel it when it changes gears. This one, occasionally you can feel it when it shifts.
Well, I think Lotus messed with the programming on it, was part of it, to make it at least a more sporting automatic. So.
And that's not a complaint on my part. That's just, this is an old friend.
Yeah.
This car is easy.
I don't want to let it go. I don't want to let it go.
Okay, we're back in the studio, and now it's time for the Haugland Score. Here's how it works.
Alex and I have individually rated the car in 5 categories, each with a rank of 0 to 10. Then we add our scores together to give us the final Haugland score.
After we combine our scores, the results go up on the board. On performance, I gave this car a 9. It really lives up to what a Lotus is in many ways. It handles very well, excellent suspension, good power, good speed, just a really nice, good performing car. Very nice to drive.
I also gave it a 9. For very similar reasons. You don't have to do anything. It's almost effortless to drive. The one issue, of course, is I catch myself going a little too fast. So for style, I gave it a 9. I love all the details. I love the red and black coordination. I think it looks swoopy and cool.
I gave it an 8. It really isn't necessarily a bad looking car in any way. It looks good from pretty much any angle. For the most part, it's very, very nice. Maybe it's not the most groundbreaking design, but it is a very nice design. So for drivability, I may be a little bit favorable here. I actually gave the car a 7. We were able to really daily drive this car. You drove it quite a bit, I drove it quite a bit. It really saw quite a bit of use under regular driving conditions. And from that end, it's a very, very good car. Not the best car for snow and ice. We kind of avoided that, but generally it did very well for what we needed it to do. It also has the advantage where it's fiberglass. It doesn't rust. There's a lot of positives from that end. You have to be a little bit careful about curbing wheels, which has happened a couple times on this, but generally it's held up pretty well.
Yeah, and I gave it an 8 for similar reasons. I mean, you can use it as a daily driver. I did. Going to Costco, you'd have to put big things in the passenger side footwell. It gets really crappy gas mileage, so
yeah.
You know, gas is expensive. But it's a pleasure to drive, and I feel like I can park it anywhere.
Yeah, and we did.
And we did. So for significance, I gave it an 8. It's one of the last US market Lotuses for the pre-airbag era. It was my first sports car. The other thing about Lotus is that a lot of their cars are very limited edition. They don't make very many of each one, and so to me that ups the significance level.
Okay, I can see that. That is part of why we put it in the collection itself, rather than just selling it on. Very different score, but I gave it a 3 for significance. I mean, for me, it was a nice car to get at the time. It's been a nice car to drive. It's not one that we bought with the collection really in mind. It was basically a good daily driver for you, so it's not one I would have necessarily gone out of my way to buy if you didn't want a really cool sports car of your own. I could probably be convinced to go higher, but that's the score I gave it.
I understand why you did that.
Our final category is Delight, and I gave it a 7. It's another car that basically a lot of people look at and kind of go, what is it? It's really cool. So it's definitely better than average by quite a bit. But at the same time, it doesn't have the significances like, for example, a lot of people going, ooh, I saw a Ferrari today or something.
And I gave it a 10, but that's because of my personal experiences driving it. One of which was I was driving over the bridge. I hear honking. I'm freaking out because I'm worried that, I'm doing something wrong. I turned around, there's this white van next to me with this guy in it, and he turns around and he looks at me and he does this. And I'm like, thank you, sir. And I'm thinking, that is not what your horn is for. But he was thrilled.
Yeah.
Right, we've done the math, and that gives us a grand total of 78 points for our 2014 Lotus Evora S.
That puts it in second place, but only 1 point behind our 1971 Alfa Romeo Montreal and just ahead of our Datsun 240Z.
So my score's maybe a little bit inflated because I really love this car.
Honestly, that's okay, because the main thing with this is that it's all subjective. Whether people agree or not, doesn't matter.
It's not their car.
Exactly.
Okay. And we're done.
Thank you for watching this episode of Everyday to Exotic.
Our goal is to create a show that's as much fun for you to watch as it is for us to make.
So please comment. Let us know what you liked and what you'd like to see.
Don't forget to subscribe. We're creating new content all the time, and we're looking forward to bringing it to you. You'll want to be among the first to know.
And if you have friends who you think would enjoy this, please go ahead and share it with them.
Don't forget to like.
And if you want to see what else is going on with the Haugland Collection, follow us on Instagram at Haugland Collection. We'll see you on the next episode of Everyday to Exotic.
Okay, see you later. Bye.